Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and today we are doing a full face of underrated products. So starting in July, I have been doing a get ready with me every single week, and this week we are concentrating on products that I just don't hear people talk about. Of course, I've heard one or two people talk about some of these things, but these are all things that I love that I never hear about on YouTube. Maybe it's because I was late to the game. Maybe it's just because people haven't tried these products. But either way, I can't wait to show you some of my favorites today. And you could also call it a full face of nothing new if you like. So for primer, I'm starting out with the Too Faced Primed in Peachy Cooling Matte Skin Perfecting Primer. Did I get right? Yes, I did. And some of you may know this is my favorite or holy grail primer for summer especially. During the rest of the year, I can use a hydrating primer, I can use no primer, it really doesn't matter. But during the summer, I need this to keep my makeup on my face, otherwise there is no point in even putting makeup on my face because it will just slide right off. A lot of matte primers that I've tried in the past are very dry looking on the skin, and sometimes they make my foundation look cakey or like thick, if that's even a thing. And this doesn't do any of that. Fortunately, this is a primer that does keep me looking matte, but not flat. It lets my skin look like skin, but it doesn't look like an oil slick. Alright, for foundation, this is an oldie but a goodie for me. I have purchased this before and used the entire thing up. It was a favorite. I decided to try some other things during the cold months, and now that it's warm again, I have brought back my beloved Urban Decay Naked Skin One and Done Hybrid Complexion Perfector. This has a broad spectrum SPF of 20, and I have mine in the shade Light Medium. And how I would describe this to you guys is that this is the oily girl's version of a BB cream. It's buildable, but you can also wear it very sheared out on the skin, which is how I will wear it today. And it's perfect. It goes on beautifully. It gives enough coverage, in my opinion, and then it dries down to a powder, notice I didn't say powdery, finish, and I love it. And it does have a lot more longevity on my combo skin in the summer for sure. I love a BB cream, but if it's hot outside, I just may as well not wear anything at all. And you know, a lot of times that is what I end up doing. If I know I'm going to be in a situation where I'm just going to sweat it right off, or I'm going to look like a grease ball in an hour or two, I just skip it all together. But this is a great option when you really do want to have, you know, an evening of the skin tone or what have you, you know, whether it's for an evening, a day, for work, if you feel more comfortable. And I highly recommend this. The shade range is not great, I will say that, but it is a really beautiful product if you can find your shade. Going into concealer, again, an oldie but a goodie. This is the NYX HD Studio Photogenic Concealer. I have mine in CW4. This is my summer shade, and this is like $5.99, which is great. The only downside to this one for me is I feel like I go through it so quickly, and concealer is definitely not something I go through very quickly. But that being said, at $6, I can't hardly complain. So I really love this. To me, this is just like a great everyday concealer. Has a good medium coverage, definitely buildable. I definitely wouldn't call it hydrating. Like if I had to name a hydrating concealer, I would mention the Hello Fab Bendy Avocado Concealer, but it's definitely not drying either. And as you can see, you know, we have a good amount of coverage here. Next is powder, and this is definitely an underrated product, except for with myself and my girl Angela from Beauty by Angela, as well as my sister. And that is the number 7 Perfect Light Pressed Powder. I do purchase mine at Target, and I have mine in the translucent shade. I believe they have light and medium as well. I have used the medium before. I just prefer the translucent, and I've gone through at least 3 of these in the last couple years. So the great thing about this powder, however, is I can actually wear this both on my face and under my eyes. That's unheard of. I really love this powder for this, and I especially like it now that I'm implementing a technique from Tiffany, whom I will link down below. And that is to apply, ooh, the mirror is dirty, oops, to apply this powder under my eyes with my ring finger. So what she does is she gets the powder on her ring finger, takes the middle finger to pat out any creases in the concealer, which I will say the NYX one has far less creasing than I see from any other concealer. I start at the outside of the eye and just press this under the eye, starting lower down and then working my way up all the way to the lower lash line. And I find this to be just the perfect amount of powder to set under my eyes. It's no longer tacky, but it doesn't look dry or anything like that, at least not any more so than any other. And then I'm also going to set my face with the same powder. So, going into bronzer, I've spoken on this before. This is definitely a fave. It's hands down my favorite matte bronzer, and that's the number 7 Match Made bronzer, and I have mine in the shade Caramel. As you can see, I have quite a bit of pan in this, and that's because I love it. The other thing I love about this bronzer is that there's like no kick up in the pan, which if there was, that wouldn't be a deal breaker, but I do still love that there isn't, because there's no product waste that way, as well as it's not messy. And as you can see, this just blends beautifully into the skin. It's definitely buildable, which is another reason I like it. It's finely milled. I mean, I will absolutely repurchase this bronzer when it's gone. I'm not interested in trying another matte bronzer. I have other matte bronzers. I have, in fact, 2 pans, one mini and one full size of the Benefit Hoola bronzer, and I use them. Nothing compares to this. That stuff I have to be really careful with. I gotta tap off my brush. Probably don't hear me doing that because I'm not. And I just like this one. I think it's beautiful. Okay, blush, you know I love it. And this formula is highly underrated in my opinion. I see a few people that consistently mention these as products that they love, but I don't think these blushes really get a lot of love, and those are the butter blushes. I do realize part of the issue is a lot of the shades are too light for a lot of people, including myself, but if you have a medium skin tone like me, the shade Vintage Rouge, which is a beautiful coral shade. It's just beautiful. And then a new shade that I acquired was the Butter Blush in the shade Saucy Mauve. I have been looking for this. Looks like this. This is definitely a glowy blush, but I am not mad at it because it is, I don't know, I love mauve. I'm really attracted to mauve-y blushes, and like I said, this one is glowy and it looks stunning on the cheeks. And Emily Noel 83 made me buy it. It's all her fault. And this is a blush, as you can see the sheen right here, you would not have to wear highlighter if you didn't want to. It's beautiful, but it's not in like a super glowy, like NARS Orgasm kind of way. It's just a subtle, beautiful sheen. Look at that cheek. Next is highlighter. I don't think I'll highlight my cheeks. I'm feeling glowy enough. But for the rest of my face, I'm going to be using the Pixi Glowy Gossamer Duo in the shade Subtle Sunrise. There are two of these. The other one is more pinky peachy, and I kind of wish I had it. But this is peachy and then more gold. What shade do I want to wear? Maybe I use a little of both. Let's do that. Dip, 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 dip. And, oh yeah, we're not doing the cheeks, right? This is beautiful. I mean, as scary as it swatches on the hand, it really is a beautiful color. Definitely love this on the Cupid's bow. And the sheen. A little up here maybe. For my brows, I'm going to use the NYX Microbrow pencil in the shade Ash Brown. Looks like this. Very teeny tiny tip, as you can see, which is exactly what I want. And then it does have a nice spoolie that I actually feel like is a good size, that it pulls, you know, combs my brows up really nicely. And then to set my brows, I've been loving the ColourPop Brow Boss Gel, and this is just the clear one. It has beautiful hold. It kind of helps pull the color from the pencil through the brows. Alright, now that the brows are did, I'm going to go ahead and set my face as I usually would at this point. And the setting spray that I think is highly underrated, in fact I have never heard anybody else talk about this spray, is the Pacifica Pineapple Flower Oil-Free Matte Mist. And it smells like butter bronzer, in case you were just wondering. It does, and it is definitely really beautiful. It says slay oil, pineapple, and hyaluronic acids, oily in combination skin types, but I absolutely think a normal to dry girl could use this too. I don't find it to be drying or anything, but it's just a beautiful mist. One of the rare mists that I actually keep in the bottle it came in. It definitely helps set down the powders on my face, as you can probably see now, as well as I think this combined with a good primer and setting my face and things like that does help contribute to keeping my makeup on all day. And I am getting down there. It's lasted me for an eon, but not from lack of use, and I definitely will repurchase this when it's all gone. Now I'm sure you're all dying at this point to know which palette I picked, and hopefully you won't be disappointed. I've just had this brand on the brain a little bit lately, and when I started thinking about this video and the products I would pick, this is the palette that immediately came to my mind, because I was so excited when this palette came out, and then I feel like the launch was kind of lackluster. Like, people were like, wah, wah, wah. But for me, I love this palette. I continue to reach for it, and it is the ABH Soft Glam palette. This shade right here is called Sultry, and that is kind of why I'm wearing a dark burgundy shirt in summer. Not that you can't do that. But this is a palette I'm going to be using today. For a transition shade, I'm going to use one of my legitimately favorite shades. Legitimate? Whatever. I'm going to use one of my favorite shades in the palette, and that is Dusty Rose right here. And I don't know why everybody sort of poo-pooed this palette when it came out, if I'm being honest. I really was excited about this color story, and, you know, yeah, it's not probably the most, you know, exciting neutral color story. It is very warm toned for the most part, but I thought the shimmers in here were absolutely gorgeous. Going in with a really tiny blending brush, I'm going to use a shade I don't use a lot, but it is this one right here called Mulberry. It's a little bit warmer of a burgundy than my shirt, but I think paired with the sultry shade, it's going to work out just fine. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is an underrated palette from ABH? Do you think there's another palette that's more underrated from ABH? Do you not like ABH? I know going into this shade Sultry right here, which is actually the exact color of the packaging of the Sultry palette. I'm going to go in very soft. This shade and the shade I will use next are very, very soft. Alright, going back into Mulberry here, I'm just going to press this burgundy shade right up against the lower lash line. And I'm not going to bring it all the way, just about half. Alright, and then I'm going to go into that Dusty Rose shade again. I didn't really expect that we were going to have a monochromatic look today, but pretty much looking like it. We're going to do something different and use this rose pink right here. And I'm going to spray this one. Again, this is so soft. I like barely dip my brush in, so it definitely works best if you spray it. I'm going to wrap that around the tear duct. So a little bit up on the lid, through the tear duct, and then over to where we left off with the lower lash line. And then last, for a tiny little pop of brightness on the very inner corner, I'm going to go into Tempera. It technically is supposed to be a satin finish. I don't know that I would call it that, but I do think it will bring a little brightness to the inner corner here. You can see. I love how this eye came out. I'm really excited to wear it all day. Alright, next we're going to talk mascara. I have turned the fan away from me now, unfortunately. But this is a Milani Highly Rated mascara. Very typical Christmas tree wand, but the formula I think is what the standout for me. I'm going to apply it to one eye and then I want to show you the difference. It builds on itself beautifully without getting clumpy or spidery. I am not into that. I like smooth, dark, elongated lashes. Alright, moment of truth. Can we see the difference? Look how long my eyelashes look. Lips. I have two products to recommend for you that I think are underrated. The lipstick formula that I feel is so underrated because a lot of people are still into matte lips. Not necessarily matte liquid lips, but matte lipsticks. And I am also a fan of matte lipsticks. So maybe it won't surprise you, but I am recommending the NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencils. Is it lip pencils? Yeah. And I love them. I have multiples of this, and it is a beautiful formula. I'm going to line my lips and apply this, and then I'll have a few more words to share. Definitely not a summer shade. As you can see though, it's beautiful, full opacity, it's very creamy, but it definitely has a long-lasting formula in my opinion. I love the pencil form because I just feel like it's so much easier to apply sometimes, and this is definitely my darkest shade. If I didn't say it, this shade is called Damned. So let's talk about the next lip product, shall we? Because we're going to lighten it up a little bit. This is the Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumper. This is my favorite shade called Soft Rose, but I also have the shade Luminoso, which is named for and very similar to the cult favorite blush. I love this for anything. I like this as a lip prep. That's how I got started using these. It's all Angela's fault because she gave me my first one, but I also like this to wear on its own, to wear over a lip liner that's a little darker, to lighten up a lip look like we're going to do today. They do have shimmery ones like the Luminoso, but they also have these cream ones, and I love them for lightening up a lip look. This may be not the best example. These have gotten more, you know, airtime on YouTube here lately because they've come out with a few new shades. Emily Noel 83 reviewed the whole line and did some lip swatches, so I do highly recommend those. And that, my friends, is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed this little get ready with me. I love getting ready on camera with you guys. I feel like we're just chit-chatting while we're doing our makeup together, and maybe we are. Some of you have let me know in the comments. I always think it's fun personally to watch these videos because if somebody thinks it's underrated, it's because they really, really like it. And I really do love all of these products that I shared with you today. A lot of them are repurchases and or products that I have multiple shades of. It's definitely not the most summery look I've ever created, but what is a summer look anyways? It's whatever you want to wear in the summer, and today I felt like wearing burgundy, and burgundy we did. So with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful burgundy makeup days, and I will see you in my next video.